Hello Exiles, this is Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming and welcome to another Path of Exile video. Today's video is finally the guide for my Power Siphon Trickster. I finally have it in a place that I want it. It took a little bit longer because I dislocated my shoulder and also lost central air for a while during a heat wave, so I didn't want to overheat my computer, wasn't playing that much, and when I was, I couldn't record while I was doing it. Kind of double down on the overheating, but I am going to do a quick map here, and then I will explain the build, go over everything from the Mercenary skill tree. The nice thing about this build is it has a lot of very synergistic uniques.
And separated by a few feet of soil.
So it's very easy to kind of get the synergies going. Gearing is straightforward compared to most gear. Alright, what do we got here? Check out the jewelry. That's actually pretty good. That's also pretty good. But I'll just take the stacked decks. I don't feel like holding on to a bunch of extra gear. Alright. So, let's go ahead and get to this. I'm just doing a bunch of random influence stuff. That's what my scarabs are. Magic pack size, influence pack size, that kind of thing. I can do most, if not all, of the influenced towers for the most part, or the altars rather. Clear speed's pretty quick, even quicker. You know, when I'm really focusing in full blasting. Gotta be careful because there's volatile cores. Actually, I'm pretty reasonably sure I'm not gonna risk it. I'm not gonna die saying, oh, I'm gonna survive the volatile core and then I die immediately. Okay. Oh.
Prepare to face your unlady.
Well, at least he slowed it down so I could get out of the way of that volatile core, because I don't think I would have noticed it otherwise. Alright, go pick up all this stuff. What do we got? Rarity, meteor. Yeah, just take this stuff. For quantity, I would take the meteor, but otherwise, oh yeah, I should probably pay attention to what my things are. I don't even look at those half of the time. The buttons you have on the bottom, I didn't read them. I'm just gonna press them. I don't really think. Okay, it's the resurrectum ones. Okay, quantity, nice. Take quant. So I'll try to use both of these as much as I can, since I built up a bunch. For the rest of the map here, get some extra rewards. Oh, my mercenary is also very strong, so possibility that ends up just clearing everything before I can actually make use of those. There we go. Oh, got a nameless seer. Check that out. Alright, what do we got? Cost breeze is pretty good. Yes, oath. Got all the tabulas I'll ever need. I'm pretty sure it's going to be cost breeze here. I could be wrong, but I think that yields the most dust. I think it's like a baseline close to 100,000. Alright, not going to do the Vol side area. Aw. I went the wrong way in the beginning. That's a downside of Toxic Sewer. Sometimes you get a bismuth at the end here. Oh well. Alright, so that was the map. Pretty quick, pretty simple. So first I should get this out of the way.
Out with it.
I do have Doriani's prototype on my mercenary. I do think if you want to do things like tier 17 bosses and Ubers and juiced like delirious content and stuff, you are going to need to do that with this build. This is a build that stacks a lot of lightning damage. So the idea is you basically just get your lightning resistance as low as possible. It can go down to -200, and then everything near your mercenary will match that lightning resistance. So this gives me a huge boost. It I think increases my DPS by at least 2.5 times. So that's pretty big, and I have kind of budget gear here. This was like 20C, and the 2 rings were like 5C each. So I spent 30C, and then it was, I think, maybe a divine for this, or 120 chaos, I don't remember. But the Doriani's wasn't that expensive either, and it was for an okay, actually the roll isn't that great. I looked more for the baseline percentage, but yeah, that is going to be a big enabling factor. I'm also using Immortal Flesh to further reduce, and then I just try to get their other resistances as high as I can reasonably get. And I have Painseeker and Piscators and Wake of Destruction on it as well, so it actually does a pretty considerable amount of damage. Yeah, that is the Mercenary. Let's go over, well, we'll start with this. I'm using Soul of the Brine King because I'm not currently taking the mastery that gives you 50% of your energy shield added to stun threshold. I was waiting to get a higher amount of energy shield because it's still not that good. And then I was going to switch over to Soul of Aracali. I tried to do that without this, and I got stun locked, especially by lightning damage all the time. I should get Peruna for the stun and black recovery. I just didn't really get around to it. And I'm also still running Soul of Aberath since I'm doing the Searing Exarch influence. And then let's go over the skill tree quickly. As you can see, it's mostly on the outside here. Important things. We got Keystones, we got Ghost Dance, Ghost Reaver, Chaos Inoculation. For Ascendancy, I'm currently running Polymath. I was running Swift Killer. Honestly, I looked at what Frenzy charges would give me. Polymath gives me a little bit more. Even if I go with power charges or Frenzy charges through Badge of the Brotherhood, it's not that big of a difference, and I get some resistances and int from the Ephemeral Bond. So this is a setup that's kind of specific to my current gearing. If you are unable to get enough spell suppress, you'll want to take Spellbreaker until you can get Soul Drinker, but as soon as you are able to cap your spell suppression otherwise, which I've kind of gone a little bit out of my way to do here, going through reflexes, as soon as you're able to, you want to go to Soul Drinker because the Overleech plus the extra attack and cast speed is really nice, and we have enough mitigation for spells for the most part, particularly elemental spells, that the 10% suppress spell damage isn't strictly necessary. One step ahead to make us freeze chill immune, as well as immune to temporal bubbles, temporal chains, and the mod on tier 17s and the new 16.5s that reduces your action speed by 3% every time you use a skill. One step ahead is my favorite reason to play the Trickster, honestly. It's just a really feel-good node. Really, really nice, and it slows everything around you down a little bit too. Really great. I think I'm getting like 22 or 24% more damage with Polymath. I don't really want to count it out right now, but that is the thing. And the important things about this character, very attribute hungry. So Lethal Pride, getting that for some extra strength. I'm also taking Prowess, and I'm taking Thief's Craft not because I need the intelligence, but because I benefit from intelligence so much. It gives me energy shield, it gives me accuracy, it gives me a bunch of other stuff as well. It gives me evasion rating, it gives me accuracy again up here. Yeah, overall intelligence is extremely important, to the point where I take utmost intellect and the increased attributes here. One of the reasons why I need this is because I am using Runegraft of the Fortress, which gives me 40% increased global defenses at the cost of 10% reduced attributes, which we have a problem with anyway. But 40% ES and evasion is insanely good. Baseline evasion's quite good. Energy shield is getting there. It's not bad. It's not great currently. And The other one I'm taking is Runegraft of the Bound, because specifically one of the key points of this build is Ralokesh's Impatience, and honestly the stats on this aren't that good. You can get a lot better stats on gloves. You can get a lot better stats than what I have on these gloves on gloves as well. So Runegraft of the Bound can be really, really nice in that regard. You're taking away stats from something that literally doesn't matter. The chaos resist does nothing. The movement speed obviously is good, so 20% less movement speed ends up being like 3% reduced movement speed here. Cold resist to me isn't like a big deal, so that is the reason we're doing that, and those are currently the only two Runegrafts that I'm using. So yeah, you need a lot of accuracy, so I'm getting both of the gain accuracy rating equal to your intelligence nodes. I also am pathing through the accuracy and the wand attack speed here to get to Prison Weave rather than through the penetration. We don't need as much penetration because of the Doriani's prototype on the Mercenary. And then you want your power charges, all of them. Probably want your frenzy charges as well, especially because I'm doing the Mark Mastery with Mark the Prey for Sniper's Mark, which can get me the extra frenzy charges, but I don't really want to run Blood Rage because I don't want to have to deal with physical degen on all the time. It'll just make me a lot weaker, so I'm not kind of overcommitting to the frenzy charges. Having Swift Killer can help with that, and it might be worth switching from Polymath over to Swift Killer once I am able to get both of the frenzy charges, which are probably next on the docket, so that would be up to level 98. I am anointing Overcharge, and then other important things, Charisma and Influence, along with Enlighten allows for Wrath, Discipline, and Grace. Prior to that, I was running the Mana Mastery as well. That gives increased mana reservation of skills. You are going to want Inveterate, Spell Suppress. I'm going over to Reflex, which allows me to also get the increased evasion from equipped body armor. I'm running a Replica Hyri's Ire, so this is quite a lot of evasion, a very large amount. And kind of along the same lines, I'm getting the increased energy shield from equipped helmet. I have 221 on my evasion energy shield hybrid, so that is quite good. I got a tier 2 flat evasion ES and a tier 2%. Obviously the life roll is a little unfortunate, but it's not too bad. And the most important thing is I get an extra power charge off this helmet, so that's there. Jewel sockets, things like spell damage, attack speed while holding a shield, attack speed with wands, crit multi, very good. Mana reservation, attributes can be quite good, like strength, that kind of thing. Anything along those lines. And if you want to use Searching Eye Jewels, I have enough flat damage. I probably should just get another one similar to these. But if you do want to run them, things like evasion, energy shield, and then lightning damage to attacks and lightning damage with wands, and of course crit multi are all going to be things you're looking for. And then yes, evasion hybrid stuff here and here, with the mastery giving evasion per int. Since my int is over double, this would give me 40%, I believe. Yeah, 40% evasion. This gives me 83% evasion with this, so I'll happily replace that. So this is another reason why intelligence is so important to the build and why I do bother going to utmost intellect. And I'd like to stack more int on the pieces that I can, like this ring. It would be great if I could get intelligence on that. And at some point, if I could, but I'm like right at the edge of my strength and dexterity needs, so I actually do need that strength and dex roll on this. But at some point, if I could fix that, being able to get int on as a craft on gloves would be good as well. All right, so that pretty much covers everything important on the skill tree, I think. Oh, I should also mention this. Clever Thief is going to give us attack damage and attack and mana leech. Attack leech and mana leech, and then we take the instant leech. It just saves us a point from getting it up here on Light Eater. So we have a couple of things where we do that. Like for instance, I take the critical mastery here, Heartseeker, even though these two critical strike chances, other than giving me 4 strength, they're worthless. Obviously, it would be better to get Throat Seeker, but you save 2 points as compared to pathing to Throat Seeker, even though it gives a bunch of crit multi. So I'm doing this to save 2 points, and then I'm doing this to save 1 point, so I get 3 points saved there. Just a little bit of kind of optimization going on. And for instance, that allows me to take Arcing Blows, which is a pretty considerable damage cluster there. And I think mostly that's everything worth noting on the tree. Yeah. And yeah, just customize it to your needs. Like, I might need some more spell suppression. I think when I'm not at max energy shield, I'm actually like 5% short. So I might have to switch my Eater of Worlds 10% global accuracy to spell suppression to make sure I fix that, if that's the case. So that you just need to watch out for those things. All builds have a little bit of tinkering that are required, but for the most part, it's pretty plug and play. As far as the items, you will, for a majority of your journey, let's see, I probably have one around here. Yep. For a majority of your journey, you're going to want to be using a Piscator's, preferably with 18% attack speed. You'll want the highest attack speed. This is actually one of the worst rolled Piscators I've ever seen, honestly. Terrible attack speed, weapon elemental damage, and accuracy. But yeah, anyone will do, preferably a better one than this. And you can use that until you get a really good wand. This wand I'm pretty proud of because I self-crafted. I got really lucky with the prefixes can't be changed reroll here. So if you saw my previous update, you saw that I had the wand with the spell mana hybrid, the spell damage, and the essence flat lightning damage. Could probably divine this, by the way. But I managed to get Reforge, prefixes cannot be changed, Reforge crit, and I got crit multi and crit chance. I didn't need the crit chance to be capped, and I would rather that be accuracy or chance to deal double damage or something along those lines, or intelligence even. But yeah, if I want to do a different wand build, this will be awesome because of that. And I then crafted 13% attack speed, and this wand is great. Like I said, could probably use a little bit of divining to get the lightning damage roll a little bit higher, maybe get closer to max spell damage, but honestly, pretty happy with this. The important pieces of gear to talk about is the combo of Ralakesh's Impatience, Malachi's Loop, and Graven's Secret. These 3 items in combination basically make it so that you get a bunch of extra power charges, you always count as max power charges, and Ralakesh's will mitigate the downsides of both Malachi's Loop and Graven's Secret. So it turns the downside of Graven's Secret into a pure upside. Now you get absorption charges while also getting power charges. And I'll show you the effect of this, so let me turn off my auras so we can get a comparison. I'm at 1,085,000 with Ralakesh's on. Take it off, 57,000. So it's almost a 20 times boost in damage with this. So that just goes to show you how impactful being at max power charges is. The build simply doesn't work without Ralakesh's. So keep that in mind. So with this plus a +1 power charge helmet, another helmet you can go for is Will Clash, which will give you 50% spell block and 50% elemental damage, but I needed the defenses, little higher defenses more at the time, and also Will Clash was kind of, with a power charge, was kind of outside of my budget range at the time, so I just picked this up and it's been working pretty well for me. But you get 160% spell damage at 10 power charges, which gives you 240% attack damage with Power Siphon. Then you get the absorption charges, which each absorption charge, we have 10 of these as well, because it matches our max power charges, and each one will give us 12% of elemental damage taken as energy shield recoup. And basically what that means is we get 120% of elemental damage taken recouped as energy shield over 4 seconds. Just constantly as we're taking elemental damage gives us a nice little persistent regen effect, so it's very nice. It's actually, one of the only reasonable ways to get energy shield back, because we have Ghost Reaver, which doesn't allow us to recharge. So yeah, with that kind of setup, it's that along with Ghost Dance are the only real ways that we have to get back Energy Shield. Then I'm using Ephemeral Bond. There's a couple of things you can put in this slot. You can use a really good rare amulet. You can use Badge of the Brotherhood for frenzy charges, putting those up to 10. That can be really strong as well. This gives a lot of flat damage, and you don't suffer the downside of the less power charge duration. But you can't get the other upside of getting the crit multi because you're never gaining power charges either. But the 1 to 48 in this case, lightning damage per power charge, that's 10 to 480 flat lightning damage. That's a pretty large amount. Plus we're getting mana regen, int, and all resist on top of that. And of course you anoint overcharge for the power charge. As far as rings, ideally I would have 2 of these. So this is a really good ring for this build. It's got heavy resistances, it's got lightning damage to attacks, and then it's got the flat maximum energy shield, which is incredible. And most importantly, it's got the lightning damage per power charge mod, which is Crusaders. I have a similar ring over here, but it does not have the Crusaders prefix on it. I would like it to, but unfortunately I got a mono roll instead. I'd like to pick up another one of these. That would give me a lot of damage. Then I'd probably have enough flat damage at that point to replace this with Badge of the Brotherhood. The third option as well that you can have is Crystallized Omniscience, but what this does is it replaces your attributes, which you're relying pretty heavily on for a lot of different things like accuracy. Your ES will go way down, your evasion will go way down. Damage is really good, and basically it will almost be as good, or it will be about as good as a Doriani's prototype if you have it, in case you can't get a Doriani's prototype for whatever reason. Maybe it's a future league or they nerf it on mercenaries or something. But if that's the case, I don't really, I've tried it, I've tested it. I'm just too squishy with this on, so I was dying nonstop. I had like 3,200 ES. It was bad. It was a bad time. Any reduced accuracy maps, I couldn't hit a thing. You know, it was terrible. So, would not recommend. It is an option, but you just have a lot more problems to solve if you do it. So, yeah. Body armor, replica Hyri's Ire. I was for a very long time just running something along these lines, just a high evasion energy shield body armor with engaged or gain endurance charge every so many seconds and fizz damage taken as lightning, and some spell suppress. This is really good, but replica Hyri's Ire has a lot of spell suppress, it has a lot of int, and it's got a good chunk of added lightning damage with wand attacks. In fact, one of our best sources of this, the best being Sigil of Power, which I haven't gone over yet, but really close to the best thing you can get. And then gloves, you know, these are important. You can get attack speed, you get flat lightning, you can get resistances, you can get accuracy, you can get, you know, all sorts of stuff. Just getting good evasion energy shield on your gloves as well can be really nice. And in my particular case, absolutely essential to craft the strength and dexterity, as I wasn't able to put everything together otherwise. Flasks, I got a sulfur flask. This isn't doing that much for me. I have enough % damage. I might replace this with something else. But you do want Quicksilver and Silver Flask for sure. And then I have a Stibnite Flask with increased evasion rating. Things you'll want, reduced effective curses is really good. You'll probably want that. And you'll want % evasion. There's a bunch of stuff you can do, but those are kind of the most important ones. So increased evasion and reduced effective curses. And then I'm also running a gold flask because, well, we get gold. I want more gold. For more gold, I get some magic finds. Speaking of, this helmet has rarity on it as well, which is quite nice. So a little bonus there on top of everything that I have. And that is the gear. So we've gone over most of the stuff. Now I'm going to cover the links. Power Siphon, I like Vol Power Siphon. You can get a 2120, or probably better, a 2023 or a 2123 double corrupt. You don't get a lot of damage from levels in Power Siphon. It doesn't scale that well. The Vol Power Siphon, just if you get too overwhelmed, even though it clears really good, especially with Pierce, sometimes there's just so much stuff you're going to want to mash Vol Power Siphon a little bit. So I think it's the best out of the options for single corrupts is a 2020 Vol Power Siphon. But I would say second is a 2023, and last is probably a 2120. So then I'm running Power Charge on crit. This is 40% more damage. Pretty great. Very significant amount of damage. 40% more, in fact. Sacred Wisps. This helps our single target a lot. Actually helps with clear pretty well too. So really nice. Very good support for self-attack wands. Got Pierce. And we're going to go ahead and vol that. See if we can get 21. No dice. Unfortunate. But yeah, this is the alternative to taking Pierce. There's not a lot of green slots you can get. You need to get 4 blue and a red for this setup, which is very hard to do on a pure dexterity. So what I did is you can either take the 3 blue sockets until you get a 4th blue and a red, or you can do 2 blue and 1 red. They're both very expensive, 100 and 120 chromatics. So you got to make do with 1 green. There's not a lot of great things you can put here. So I just did Pierce here so I don't have to spend these 3 points on the tree. It just saves me some points, and I'm not going to get something that's significantly better in this slot anyway. And I don't really want to do 6 off colors, so I guess eventually I can harvest craft on white sockets. Energy Leech. Energy Leech, you can just use it even when you're running Spellbreaker because it'll help you with like Ghost Reaver, just keeping your life up. But it's only really, really great when you have Soul Drinker because you're going to keep both effects on all the time then. And then you'll get 2 more multipliers. So yeah, Soul Drinker's fantastic. I got unlucky with my Corrupt here. And lastly, Volatility. We're pure lightning damage, so the less minimum damage doesn't hurt us basically at all, and the incredible 58% more maximum damage. This works out, I think, to be my biggest damage multiplier overall. I think it's like a 50-something percent. It's not quite 58, but it's pretty close to the full 58% more damage because the less is so not impactful. So yeah, I think it's like something around 55% more damage. Huge, absolutely insane. I wasn't running this before. I was just running elemental damage with attacks, and that was a huge mistake. And because you get such a high or such a bigger top end, you're going to get bigger shocks more easily. So that's the other nice thing. For mobility, you want shield charge, faster attack momentum. No surprise there. Also, I'm running inspiration. It just reduces the mana cost by 1 because I'm using a level 1 shield charge, right? Yeah, just a level 1. You want to quality your shield charge and faster attacks for sure. You can quality momentum, but it's not really necessary. And once you have, your Silver Flask and your Quicksilver going, shield charge is pretty crazy. And you're supplementing that with Frost Blink as your secondary movement skill just for the instant movement. I got Mark on Hit with Sniper's Mark. With Inspiration, you definitely want Inspiration on this. I should definitely quality the Inspiration on this because level 20 or 21 Sniper's Mark is going to be very expensive mana-wise. You're going to be reapplying it pretty often. I got really unlucky with the Corrupt on my Sniper's Mark and lost 7% quality, which really sucks. And then I got 1% increased, which does nothing on the Mark on Hit. But yeah, you're absolutely going to want a 2120 Sniper's Mark with a quality to Inspiration. You can't use Life Tap, going CI. Then we have Wrath, Discipline, Grace, and Enlighten. Prior to having Enlighten, you're going to have to take that Mana Mastery to get the 12% increased Mana Reservation efficiency. I did replace it with this Rune Graft. But once you get Enlighten, I'd like to have a level 4 Enlighten, but I just bought a level 2 already corrupted one and leveled it up because it was just cheap, easy power. Got Automation with Immortal Call. I should probably have an increased duration in here and maybe like a Ball Haste as well. I do get Haste from my Mercenary, along with Flame Wall as kind of the benefits. But yeah, a little bit suboptimal here, but that's kind of just how I'm going. I want to keep one slot open for precision, a low-level precision, which I'm going to try to fit in by either getting a level 4 Enlighten, an Awakened Enlighten, or another jewel slot that has increased mana reservation efficiency, or maybe a couple, or just more like flat mana so that I have more unreserved to use. And finally, we have Sigil of Power with increased area of effect. Sigil of Power is the biggest damage boost out of everything. We attack very quickly, so we are going to run this up reasonably fast. I believe I have 8 attacks per second. They work out to be 24 mana each. So getting to 5 does take most of the duration, so maybe I should, put increased duration on Sigil of Power as well. The other benefit, though, is that you get less damage taken while at maximum stages. So that's quite good. In fact, it's practically essential. One thing you can do to help with single target damage is you could be running Arctic Armor. It'll give you, I think at max level like 22-23% less physical damage taken while standing still. You combine that with Sigil of Power's less damage taken, and you do get, overall a pretty significant less damage taken result. And also you have less physical damage taken from the Energy Shield Mastery, and physical is really the only thing we're super worried about. So that is everything. Hope you enjoyed. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I'll see you next time. Bye.